Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replaced, the best baseball podcast to grace your baseball 11 years. I am Alex Clark, your host today, joined today by the one and only Mathias Kurosaki and the always appreciated, never really seen half the time, Ryan Splash Potts. My main man, how are we doing on this fine Sunday morning? An odd time to record a podcast.
Yeah, it is New York City Marathon Day, so this city is bustling right now, especially in my neighborhood. I mean, Central Park is going to be a mess all day probably, but Marathon Day is always really exciting. I feel like I'm friends with people on Facebook who are running on the marathon today, so it's pretty sick. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I don't have a football team to watch today because they played on Thursday, so I'll be chilling on this Sunday afternoon.
Fair
I'm
enough.
glad I don't have to watch the Steelers today, but I probably shouldn't be up right now. But shout out to the time change that I
I
am
feel
up
that.
after like
Yeah.
2 hours of sleep. So yay.
Yeah, I got like what 6 hours or something like that.
I
I woke
didn't.
up
I
really early.
forgot. I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought we had gotten rid of daylight savings time, so I didn't. I was confused when I woke up when the clock on my wall said one thing and my phone said another
Mhm.
thing.
And I
Yeah.
didn't have to deal with daylight savings when I was out in Arizona for 3 years. So now
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
right.
okay, back to reality here. So oh well. And at least I don't have to watch the game in Germany at least. So
I mean, Germany's fun. So, I mean,
yes, but it's when I looked at my phone, it was 21-0. So
yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. I
shout
get
out
It
to
it.
the
was a
Chiefs.
beatdown from what I
Definitely
could
a little
tell.
bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm gonna be watching the Seahawks pounce the Ravens in about an hour and a half, but that's okay. Sorry, Splash.
I don't
Sorry
know
for
how well
those.
that's gonna age there,
We'll
buddy.
I
see
mean,
about that.
here's the
I don't know
problem
how
though.
well that's gonna age.
I mean, Splash, here's the problem is that when I say it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. So it's all right.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
The
all right.
Ravens don't get blown out.
I mean, they're about to be. So anyway, let's get right here for today's podcast here. And there's one big topic of conversation. To be fair, it's probably the last big topic of conversation for a while here, and that is that the World Series has just come to an end here. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers, your 2023 World Series champion, and a phrase that I don't think a lot of us expected at the beginning of this year, where I think, if I remember correctly, we all picked the Rangers to either be, fourth or third in the American League
I
West?
had them fourth.
I
Yeah, I had
had
them
them in the
fourth.
playoffs, though. I did have them fourth, but I had them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
because you had all, basically almost all American League West
yes, I
I, w-
had
I
playoffs.
was. I had the Angels as my final wild card spot, and that aged poorly.
I
So
had Yankees, Guardians, and then the AL West teams. I'm not counting Oakland because that was an abomination.
No, yeah, no, it's the entire
that's
AL
not
West
that's not a
division.
major league team, but
Yeah,
No,
it's all
it's a triple A
major league.
team.
Yeah. I mean, even that's a little generous at times, but look, when call us back when you win, when you don't lose 100 games. But anyway, talking about it now again. Once again, congratulations to the Texas Rangers. It was a very interesting series because, again, only 5 games? Like,
Yes.
not like I think a lot of people, us all included, had this series either going to 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I will eat the ball here saying that I was the one that picked the Arizona Diamondbacks. I still don't regret it. Both of you guys, congratulations to you both for predicting the right World Series champion. So tell me, what were you guys seeing here, especially the last few games when it came to the Texas Rangers? They had played exceptional baseball so far into the playoffs by the time we did our last podcast. How'd they seal the deal?
I mean, really, what the difference in this series, I thought, I mean, the D-backs were just not capitalizing on their opportunities. They had so many. I mean, I'm looking at Game 4 especially, which they made a game. It was 11-7, but I mean, it was 10-0 at one point. Like it was ridiculous. But I mean, I'm looking at the inning where Christian Walker got on base. He had a double, and then Tommy Pham singles and Walker gets thrown out. Oh no, that was game 3, but where Walker got thrown out trying to score a run on Tommy Pham's single. I feel like, and then the Rangers, immediately score 3 runs the next inning. Seager scores, hits a 2-run homer. And it was just the Rangers were capitalizing on those mistakes. I mean, we saw it in game 5, even when Alec Thomas let that ground ball go under his glove. And really, the Diamondbacks, they had so many opportunities to score. They were not coming through. I mean, there's a reason they got shut out in game 5. They only scored 1 run in game 3. So the Rangers, they did the little things right, I think. Major shout out, by the way, to Travis Jankowski. Adolis Garcia, you lose your ALCS MVP, probably the hottest hitter in your lineup, and Jankowski did a great job in his place. I mean, he came through with a couple RBIs. So, yeah, the Rangers, they made the most of their opportunities. They were hitting for power. That's the thing. The Diamondbacks only hit 3 home runs in the entire series. That's as many as Corey Seager hit by himself in 5 games. So, yeah, the Rangers were just the better team. And honestly, I think it wasn't as close as it looked.
Yeah, in game 5, I thought the turning point for me was bottom of the 3rd inning. The Diamondbacks have been on 1st and 2nd, and Gabriel Moreno bunts. And listen, I understand you want 2 runners in scoring position for Christian Walker and Tommy Pham, who are some of your power guys in this lineup. Walker was cold throughout most of the playoffs. Tommy Pham had not been cold throughout most of the playoffs, but that was the situation. But you are having a hitter who hit 284 and had a slugged 400 bunt. He had 0 successful sacrifices the entire regular season. He had 1 successful sacrifice in the playoffs, the one I'm talking about right now. And I thought that Arizona was too conservative in that moment. And yes, it would have been great to score that 1 run or score that two runs on an RBI single, right? But you could have played for a much bigger inning by letting a productive hitter swing the bat, a guy with a career 105 OPS plus swing the bat, a guy that had 19 doubles on the season, that wasn't a 0 at the plate. He is the 2nd youngest Diamondback ever to homer in a playoff game, had 4 homers in the playoffs, had a double in the playoffs, had 15 total hits in the playoffs. I'm not going to say 240 batting average is anything special, but he did slug 444, including a questionable sacrifice. So I thought that was the turning point of, I don't know if Arizona thinks they can score here. So they're trying to play small ball in the 3rd inning of their final game of the regular season. And Zach Allen was great in game 5. And then the door came off in the 7th inning, and you allow a run to Texas. Boo-hoo, that's 1 run to Texas. And not Max Scherzer. Nathan Eovaldi had that ace level game of a guy gets on here, guy gets on there, guy gets on again, and you're just working in and out of trouble. Just excellent performance from Eovaldi. While Gallen had everything on lock until the 7th inning. So very, very good pitching matchup. But I thought Arizona lost the series when they had Gabriel Moreno bunt.
Yeah, and also he's your number 3 hitter. You don't think of your number 3 hitter as a guy who you have going up there to bunt ever, especially men in scoring position.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely fair. But speaking from just an idea perspective on it, right? That I think overall, the Diamondbacks, what we've seen throughout this postseason, as well as during the regular season, they look at the lineup very differently than a lot of traditional baseball does. Here, they want everyone to be able to do everything, and whether that means having your three guy bunt to advance the runner, or have your number 9 guy swing for the fences. That's something that they've definitely had over the course of this season and in this postseason as well. One of the things I'll say overall where I'm not going to say it fell off the rails, but one that just kind of said, this is what's happening at this point. And I don't know how late this was, but it was in game 5. The fact that you had Zach Gallen go and pitch that beautiful of an out. I mean, didn't he have a no-hitter going for
through the first 6 innings.
Yeah, he was absolutely incredible, and he gave up 1 run. 1 run. That was it. And you know what? That should have been enough for this Diamondbacks offense, which, mind you, the night before had scored 7 runs, which, mind you, again, a lot of those were unearned. I understand that. But at the same time, this is an offense that is built to be able to manufacture runs. Not get runs, manufacture them, which that's a lot more consistent in my book. And yet they just couldn't do it because, like you said, Nathan Eovaldi was pitching the game of his life, to borrow a quote from you, Splash. He had one of those I'm him performances, being able to get not just into like have that trouble be around him, but get out of it at every single moment. And then in game 5, I was watching a lot of it from the bar that I was working at, and I was just like, this game really could still go either way. Gallon is pitching amazingly, Evaldi's pitching fantastic. This really could go either way. And then as soon as Texas got that first run, I'm like, okay, that's maybe actually an advantage for Arizona. They are so good at playing from behind and playing catch up that this late in the game, maybe this is their chance to come through. And then my boy Paul Sewald came up, and Texas decided to say, we're putting the nail in the coffin right now, and put together a big offensive splash off of Sewald, and it made me very sad as a Mariner fan. But at the same time, right now, like, it was really that moment of seeing that first run come across in the ninth where I'm like, this is fully over. Because a lot of people could say that game 4 was the ending point. I saw that as a sign of life for Arizona. Yes, they lost 11-7. I understand that. But what you also have to remember on it is that they were down by double-digit runs at one point and fought back. They fought back to get 7 runs. Was it enough to win the game? No. But when you are down by double digits, it is so easy just to say, all right, chalk this up as an L, move on to the next one. No, they fought in that one and kept going. And to be fair, that was a moment where I'm like, oh, wow, Arizona's going to bring it to 7. They're going to do it. They are not stopping here. And then, well, Nathan Eovaldi happened. So I want to ask you guys here as we kick off here for this right now. None of us expected this series to only be 5 games. To quote a friend of mine that I was talking to, it feels almost anticlimactic in a way. Gentlemen, what was the point here right now for Arizona? Like, we knew that this was going to be a good matchup, especially with how well they have played over the course of the NLCS. Besides that moment from Gabriel Moreno, here, I'm trying to figure out what was the moment where it looked truly lifeless. And I can't think of any other answer besides game 5, because that's where the offense was completely anemic.
Yeah, this was, it's weird. It's odd to say that the series ended in the game that it ended in. What a shocker. But yeah, the Moreno thing, but as soon as Texas scored, I know win probability was probably like 70% Texas or whatever. It felt like 99.9% Texas. That the only way Arizona was scoring is if, one of the Rangers bullpen guys like drilled everyone in the head 4 straight times. Okay, congratulations, you score a run. That's what it felt like. It did not feel, the game 5 was not close to me. That the two teams were just operating on different planes of existence. Right. And as soon as the Rangers broke through and got a hit off of Zach Gallen and the wheels came off the Zach Gallen, the series is over. The season is over at that point. It's just a class difference between these two teams. It was very, very much how I think I would have seen the Braves World Series if I wasn't a Braves fan, stressing over every pitch. That as soon as Soler hits the home run in game 6, just end the season, just end the series. It's over. We're all good. Just go home. I'm trying to think of another. Is like kind of a Boston and LA as well. That series just never felt like LA was an excellent team. Don't get me wrong, but it just felt over. And yeah, Texas just rolled. I know they didn't score until the 7th inning. I know they got no hit for 6 innings, but it just felt you trusted Texas to score. You did not trust Arizona to score. Arizona didn't trust themselves to score. They're trying to manufacture runs in the 3rd inning. Texas, it's just a matter of time. Corey Seager is going to do something. Simeon's going to do something. Carter Heim, whomever, they're going to do something. I had faith in the Rangers that entire time. Eventually, they're going to get something to fall. And then Seager gets the little slap down the left field line. Okay, boom, boom, boom. You score a run, game's over.
Really, for me, I think it was all those, like I said, those missed opportunities were starting to add up. And I had a feeling eventually the Rangers were going to come through. I mean, the Diamondbacks went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position in Game 5. They left 11 men on base. This thing, Eovaldi walked 5 in 6 innings. He allowed 4 hits. So 4 hits and 5 walks in 6 innings. That's 9 base runners over 6 innings. And I mean, the Diamondbacks simply just did not execute. I think, and that's the other thing is the Kevin Ginkel did everything he could to keep them in the game. He got worked out of 2, king size jams. That I mean, yeah, the Rangers scored a run in the 7th inning. It was 1 run. I mean, the game was definitely still in reach. But I mean, that's the thing. The Diamondbacks had base runners in the 7th and 8th inning and just didn't score. Josh Spores, by the way, I mean, major shout out to him. He had a 5.5 ERA in the regular season, but I mean, nailing down. He was nails in the postseason in a 7-out save to end the World Series. I mean, so his name is forever in the history books. He got the last out of the World Series. But I mean, I think that there, where I really thought this series kind of felt over was honestly when the D-backs left the bases loaded in the 5th inning. Because I mean, it was you bases loaded, 2 outs, and then Gurriel swings at the first pitch and it's a grounder to shortstop. It's like, all right, well, they're just not going to score today. So that was to me the point where I was like, I don't see them. I couldn't see a way for them to come back in the series.
Yeah, and like you guys have talked a lot about when it comes to Texas being able to just have the better offensive weapons, and you know what? You're right. 100%. Corey Seager is one of the best, if not the best, shortstop in baseball right now. You have Marcus Semien, who has played incredible baseball since coming over to the team in his mega deal. I still firmly will stand on the hill that I prefer manufacturing runs over huge outbursts because I think that's or huge offenses. Just because manufacturing runs seems a lot more consistent in my opinion personally. But overall, there was like kind of like what you said there, Splash. There was almost sort of an inevitability. It felt like very like Thanos anyway from the Marvel series of like that something was big was going to happen. You knew it was coming. It's just about can you stop it? And the answer for the Diamondbacks was no, they couldn't. And go for it.
Yeah, so 2 things. One, shout out Marcus Semien, broke the record for most plate appearances in a full season, in playoffs included. That's just mind-boggling. 834, 835, I believe it ended up being 835. That's just an astronomical number to pass Lenny Dykstra. But I don't disagree that with the manufacturing runs, but there's a time and a place for it, right? In the 9th inning of a game, okay, I fine, bunt and advance the runner and do that. Absolutely. But you have when Gabriel Moreno stepped to the dish, you have 21 outs in your season. Don't just give one away. Let like a 250 hitter, give or take, a 250 hitter swing the bat. You have a 1 in 4 chance of scoring a run. And I get it that you pass the baton to Christian Walker and then you have a give or take 1 in 4 shot of scoring 2 runs potentially. Okay, cool. But give yourself 3 chances. You are in the position you want to be in, right? You have 2 men on, no outs. You have 3 guys exactly who you want up, really. 3, 4, 5 in your lineup, and you just don't execute.
I mean, here's the thing is that in my opinion, kind of using your analogy here, right? The 21 outs, you have 21 outs to work. I think of it almost like currency, right? That you have this is the amount of money that you have to spend in order to try and win a ball game. Then you have to spend those outs in order to buy runs, right? Does that sound decently for this analogy here?
I'm sort of following you.
Yeah.
But you're trying to trade like an out for a run here. Okay. But you don't have to trade an out for a run. You can just try to score a run. I think that's a totally valid strategy. I think there's other times that you are okay with trading the out for the run, maybe in the bottom of the 9th. I'm okay with bunting, right? If it's Perdomo, okay, he wasn't productive after like May 3rd. Okay, fine, right? Then you bring up the top of the order, and that's a significantly better option. then in this case, Gabriel Moreno is a perfectly fine Major League Baseball player, a perfectly fine hitter, and you are taking the bat out of his hands. I didn't understand it.
So,
So
like, for one thing, I think that every Major League Baseball hitter should be able to bunt, not
I
just.
agree. Yes,
So
I agree.
like, I'm not excusing Moreno, obviously, but my thought process on it, using kind of the money analogy here, is that I'm willing to spend $1, like let's say 1 out, if that gives me a chance to get 2 runs here with only 1 out, as opposed to trying to spend $2 swinging the bat, 2 outs swinging the bat, and then it not coming through, especially on a 1 in 4 chance where you're doomed to fail 3 out of those 4 times. Like, I feel like that's a better chance where then it makes it so that you only need to hit that 1 in 4 once, and then you get 2 runs, as opposed to trying to do it twice and have the chance of nothing coming up. I see the strategy, I see the vision. The problem is that it just didn't happen. And just like in baseball is a game of failures. Well, it's stupid in a lot of ways. Is that let's say in football, a completion percentage for a good quarterback, if you have a 70% completion rating, that is fantastic. That's pretty darn good, but that means you're completing your passes 7 out of 10 times. You are an elite contact hitter, a guy that is known for getting on base and just putting bat on ball. If you're hitting it 3 out of 10 times, 30% of the time. And that is one of the reasons why baseball, in my opinion, a lot of times, as much as I love the game, can be pretty stupid. Because you have these kind of things, and this is why I like manufacturing a lot more, is because it takes the amount of chances that you need away. It's like, all right, now I only need 1 chance. If I sacrifice another chance for what is what should be, if you have, guys that are good at what they're doing, it should be a near guarantee. So, and in this case, it wasn't. That's why the word near was there. There's going to be times, no matter what, where a hitter who's even been one of the best bunters ever will still pop out or will, miss on a bunt. It's going to happen. But this is just one where it's going to be under the microscope a lot more because of the situation that it was at. And I completely understand what you're saying here, Splash, on it. Because, like, yes, Moreno has had himself a pretty good postseason and a pretty good regular season, too. Like, the guy, there's a reason why he was in that spot here for the Diamondbacks. I'm seeing both ways of it. I still prefer the manufacturing run side of things, but I absolutely see the vision, but it's also really easy to say that it didn't work.
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is,
I will say though is that the one thing I'll say to maybe defend it is that, I mean, it takes you out of the double play kind of, because and that's the thing, is that you want to trust your cleanup hitter. I mean, Christian Walker had a great regular season, but at the same time, he'd been cold as ice in the postseason. So I feel like, as Splash was saying, if it was a different hitter coming to bat, like if it was, Perdomo, I believe, led the league in sacrifice bunts. If it was,
he's done that the last 2 years.
Yeah, if it was someone like him coming to bat, like, the 9 hitter coming up for Corbin Carroll, then I would have understood bunting a lot more than having your number 3 hitter bunt.
Listen, the fact of the matter is Arizona decreased the likelihood of scoring runs, plural runs. Individual run, we can have that argument of maybe you'd rather have runners on second and third with 1 out and try to score 1 run. I think the run expectancy chart might not agree with you still, but they sacrificed a shot to score multiple runs against a team that has proven that they can score runs, plural, not just 1 run. And listen, sometimes you win 1-0, but the Rangers aren't going to be in many of those games. In this series, they scored 6 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, 11 runs, 5 runs. So fact check, 4 of those 5, they scored more than 1 run. So if you're Arizona, you're saying, okay, we need to hold Texas to 0 runs to win the baseball game. That is a losing battle against just about every team in the history of Major League Baseball. Even the Oakland A's could score more than 1 run a game.
So, okay, I'm not going to agree with you here on this one, Splash. And the reason I'm agreeing with the fact that you need more than 1 run to score a game, to win a game. I'd be stupid to say that's not true. What I am going to say here is, especially in that scenario right there, you're not getting rid of an opportunity of an out to score 1 run. If you're putting multiple runners into scoring position here, that now turns a single into a 2-run single, as opposed to a single turning it becoming a 1-run single.
Okay, this
And
is a valid point,
and
but you're
that's
still reducing your tail outcome of scoring runs. Like,
I disagree,
yes,
because at that point it's all situational. That's the problem here. Because
it's
like right
there's
now,
no
over the course of the game, like you're not having one chance to score, you're having multiple chances to score. That's what we were bringing up earlier, is that they failed in a lot of different areas. Because at that point, if they have multiple, that's what manufacturing runs is. It's not just one chance that you come through on. It's you get yourselves more chances over the course of the game. You get yourself in those situations more often, and then you come through on them. That's what
okay.
manufacturing runs is, as opposed to you have one time in the 3rd inning with runners on.
Okay, so the run expectancy when Gabriel Moreno got to the plate was 1.373 runs. So that you are expected in that situation based on historical outcomes, you are expected to score about 1 1/3 runs. Well, you bunt, and that goes down. It goes down by 0.02 runs. Not saying that's a lot, but it goes down. And in this case, yes, you could score 2 runs fairly easily with a single. I get that. But you are giving the other team an out and decreasing the chances of you putting up a larger inning. And even if we switch the conversation from 1 run to 2 runs, Texas can still score more than 2 runs, and trying to hold Texas under 2 runs is a fool's errand here.
Yeah, but you're going back to the same argument here of the fact that they only have one chance to score. Like, that's the problem here, is that right now, when you are a team that is able to manufacture,
You have a limited number of outs. This is like
no, I'm on
in football and basketball and hockey, you have not unlimited possessions, but you don't know how many possessions you're going to have. In baseball, we know exactly you have 27 outs. At this point, you have 21 outs left.
Mm-hmm.
You are giving one of your outs to the opponent and saying, we're not going to score 3, 4, 5 runs this inning. We're going to try to score 1, or we're really going to try to score 2. We're going to hope we get at least 1. And you are doing what Texas wants you to do. Texas wants an out. They don't care that you're moving the runners over because they think they can get all 3 outs, but you are giving them an out.
I'm okay with giving them an out if it means that you now have one of the best hitters on your team coming up with 2 runners on in scoring position, where a single now turns into 2 runs for a guy that has been, like I just said, one of the best hitters on your team. And again, when you add it up over the course of a game, yes, you have those 27 outs to work with, but now you also have those 27 outs over the course of 9 innings in multiple different scenarios. And giving away 1 or 2 outs when it comes to upping that chance to score multiple runs in those exact scenarios, that adds up over the course of a game. That adds up to being 5, 6, 7 runs. There's a reason why we saw this team play so well in the NLCS and the NLDS, sweeping the Dodgers. That's why it feels weird saying it right now, because we took a look at how well it did not work in the in the World Series here, but we still see that they did score a solid amount of runs, and we've seen how well it did work. I know they lost in this game overall, but game 1 was a good example of that, where they got 5 runs, and yes, they lost 6-5, but that was also remember, they were leading 5-3 going into the 9th inning, and Paul Sewald gave it up. So I see the merits to both strategies. But at the same time, like, we can't just say that if you're giving away 1 out, that's giving away an entire game. Like, you're to only get 1 run, because you have 27 outs to work with. And if you could spend 2 of those outs, 3 of those outs to be productive outs, to turn those into better scoring opportunities, then it's worth it.
Yeah, I think I would have been way more bothered by this situation if it had been with 1 out as opposed to 0 outs, because I think back to last year in the 2022 NLCS, where in the 9th inning of a 1-run game, an elimination game, by the way, game 5, Padres Phillies, Bob Melvin had Trent Grisham lay down a sacrifice bunt. That to me made 0 sense. This, like I said earlier, I think the issue is that you had a middle of the order guy bunt to me, because I mean, yes, you want to stay out of the double play. Yes, you want to give your big boppers a chance, but I mean, why are you batting your guy third if you're going to just have him bunt is my big issue. Because like Splash said, like Gabriel Moreno did not lay down a bunt. I feel like most major leaguers now are not good at bunting. Don't see guys like Juan. Yeah, we don't see guys like Juan Pierre anymore or Jose Reyes. Like those guys just don't exist.
I don't think that should be an issue.
I'm not
here,
against bunts. I'm not always against bunts. I think there's a time and a place for it. Like you can bunt for a hit, that's fine. It's actually more productive now than it has ever been. Probably because not many guys do it and only the best of the best do it. So like the Braves, for example, would only have Michael Harris bunt. No one else on the team would think about it under any circumstance unless like a pitcher has to pinch hit. Okay, fine. But maybe Michael Harris with his sprint speed can do it. Or maybe, Alec Thomas with his sprint speed or Corbin Carroll with his sprint speed, whatever. It's just, there's a time and a place for it. I think Arizona miscalculated. That was not the time and the place for it. That's the time and the place that you give your 3, 4, 5 hitters a chance to score a run. Right. And instead they opt for a slightly more productive 4 and 5 hitter. So you have 2 bites of the apple here that are a little bit better than what you would have originally had. It would have been, I don't know, like say eating 2 6.5 level cheeseburgers, 6.5 out of 10 cheeseburgers, instead of having 3 5 out of 10 cheeseburgers. Well, sometimes you're really hungry and you should take the 3 cheeseburgers. That might have been the worst analogy.
That was not the analogy.
Yeah, I was about to say, bro, you lost some very quickly.
But listen, if you're hungry, I would take the 3 hamburgers over the ever so slightly better hamburgers.
Over 2 hamburgers. Now I'm following.
That makes a little more sense. At the same time, though, I prefer quality over quantity.
I also do, but I sort of understand. Okay,
of course, it depends on the situation. Maybe if you're like not starving, maybe if you're at a fine restaurant, it might be better. You might take that 7.5 instead of the 5. I don't know. I think it's situational. Right. I mean, I think in this situation,
if you're talking situational, that gets back to what we were saying earlier. That it comes down to all.
I think they made the wrong decision. I would have taken the 3 hamburgers over the 2 ever so slight. I would have taken the 3 hamburgers over the 2 cheeseburgers.
One thing I do want to clarify before we move on to our next segment here is we were talking a bit about bunting and that we don't have players like Juan Pierre that are bunt masters at this point in the game anymore. How important is the bunt to you guys? Because I personally am a big proponent that everyone, regardless of your speed, regardless of your ability to hit, should be able to bunt.
Yeah, I'm not saying that every player has to necessarily be a master bunter, but I recommend that they at least learn how to bunt. In the case you need to bunt somehow, you don't know where you're going to be in the lineup. Also, I guess this isn't as much of an issue
to beat the shift.
Yeah, lefties especially,
Rizzo, or Freddie Freeman, guys like that. Okay, fine.
For me, when I was younger, Carlos Delgado would always bunt whenever they were shifting on him. Yes, you don't really see as extreme shifts anymore because they banned it, but like occasionally you will see guys playing like Corey. We saw Corey Seager get some of those swinging bunts. The one that broke up the no-hitter, I think
you can also do that when you bunt for it. Yeah, but I do think there's a caliber of hitter that if you are use the OPS plus scale, if you're above like a 120, I don't think unless you're Corbin Carroll, Michael Harris, speed outliers, or a left-handed hitter, those two, like if you are Paul Goldschmidt, at what point is it advantageous for Paul Goldschmidt to just be an out for you?
That scenario right there.
Yeah, no,
that Gabriel Moreno scenario. 100%. If Moreno gets that bunt down correctly, that is a better chance.
It was a successful bunt. It was a successful bunt, and it was objectively the wrong decision.
I mean, I disagree.
It wasn't like he popped the bunt up. It didn't bunt into a double play.
Well, that's the issue.
Objectively the wrong decision.
I've seen this so many times.
Like the act of bunting worked, but the fundamental decision was flawed. It would be like kicking an extra point when you're down 9, or kicking an extra point down 10. Like go for 2 and make it an 8-point game. What are we doing here? Even if you fail the 2-point conversion, you're in the same situation.
Yeah, but that's in a game with a clock as well. Whereas in this one,
that's a valid point, but
yeah. So here's my thing, right? Like even when I was growing up playing, like you guys can see me, I am not a fast guy. I am very slow. I'm a big bulky hitter that has been over getting good hits into the gap when I played. Yet when I was younger, like one of the things we always worked on was bunting. And the reason why we worked on bunting is because it needed to be done. And it is because it is in those scenarios where you have runners on first and second with nobody out. It isn't where you have a runner on second and you're down by one with nobody out. And you need to get that runner to third, or you need to get that runner away. You need to learn how to do that sacrifice. You need to learn, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Barry Bonds or if you're Miguel Tejada. You learn to bunt that ball. And if you could do that, like you're getting paid millions upon millions of dollars to play this game and to fulfill your role. Guess what? Sometimes that role can mean you need to lay down a bunt. And if you can't do that, then you're not worth that money. And if you're not willing to learn that, that also turns into a character issue, and you're not worth that money.
Listen, I'm far from a Cardinals fan, but if Paul Goldschmidt bunts and it's not a situation like a shift situation, if he bunts one time in a season, I think it's a failure. I think it's a failure. You have a Hall of Fame hitter. You have a guy that has a 145 whatever OPS plus for his career. Like, what are we doing here? Other players, yes, but there's a time and a place, and I don't think this was the time or the place for it. And I think it was a failure. I think that was objectively the wrong decision. It was the wrong decision in the moment. It's the wrong decision now. Even if let's say Christian Walker gets a 2-run single. Okay, congratulations. That manufacturing of runs works. It was still a bad decision based on the math, based on the analytics, I know it would have ended up working out in this case, but it was a bad decision.
All right. I think we're going to have to move on at this point. We're not going to agree on this one.
Yes,
but that's
probably not. You probably never will, actually.
Never will. No, but to be fair, that's okay. That's what makes a good argument. Anyway, we're going to move on here. Once again, last little bit here. Congratulations once more to the Texas Rangers. As I said on my little short earlier, 2 straight years of an American League West team winning the World Series.
Maybe it's also their first World Series win in franchise history.
Very true. They become one of the they went out of the group of never winning a World Series teams.
Yeah, 5 left. Padres, Rockies, Mariners,
Rays.
And did you guys see the ESPN what they posted on Twitter, something like that, where
ESPN posted about baseball?
I think it was someone.
Yeah,
I was saying about baseball where it was the Toy Story 3 thing, where
exactly.
It was the Texas Rangers leaving as they were Andy, and all these the toys were all the teams that have yet to win a World Series. They just had so long partner.
No disrespect.
They did not have to do the Seattle dirty.
I've always wanted to work there, but their baseball content is not as generally as good as their football or basketball.
I definitely laughed at that. It was still funny though. Anyway, all right, let's move on to our next one. Bring it back one we haven't done in a while here, but that's okay. We're bringing it back now. It is time for 3 words only, where we each have some prompts here we're all going to talk about, but we only get 3 words to describe what it is. Then we can maybe talk about a little more detail afterwards. So we're going to go in order here. Splash, we're going to start out with you here on this one. And keeping it with the World Series here, what are the last 3 words you want to say about the World Series? What are the last words that define it?
My 3 words are history, history, history. So this is 3 facets. 1, first ever Rangers World Series victory. 2nd, Bruce Bochy now has won 14 of his last 15 playoff series. If that sounds crazy, it is crazy. The last 5 times a Bruce Bochy-led team has made the playoffs has been World Series, World Series, World Series, lost in the NLCS to the Cubs, World Series. And then last, Corey Seager now has 2 crazy playoff runs. He's in this like Reggie Jackson realm of position players to win 2 World Series MVPs, and he was the 2nd best player in the American League for my money for the whole season. Then he's electric in the playoffs. This is like a superstar level season. This is what you hope you get out of a player when you pay him, he and Semien, $500 million. So props to the Rangers.
All right, Mac, you want to go next on this one?
Yeah, sure. I think my 3 words are pretty simple, which is I was wrong. I could not have been more. I've tweeted this a lot, but like I could not have been more wrong about the Rangers. Because I thought that coming into the year they were such a risky team. Like I saw them sign that DeGrom contract, and then you're paying Seager and Simeon and Gray all. That's a combined 556 million spent, and then you add the DeGrom contract, and I was just like, yeah, if everything clicks, they could make the playoffs, but I didn't see them making the World Series or anything like that, or coming close to winning the division. And I mean, they proved me wrong all year. And that's the thing is, technically, not everything clicked. I mean, DeGrom blew out his arm; he's out until 2025, and Scherzer got hurt twice. So, but I'll just say I had them coming in fourth place this year. I didn't even have them. I didn't even think they were going to have a winning season this year. I thought they were maybe a 75 win team coming into the season, maybe 80 win team, but they showed what happens when all your stars are clicking. And yeah, I mean, congrats to them on proving me wrong. And also shout out to Will Smith for winning his third straight ring on 3 different teams. Eric Hinsky is probably very jealous of that.
Probably just a little bit. All right, my 3 words are AL AL West supremacy. As right now, like I said just a moment ago, the AL West has now won the last 2 World Series, and right now has 3 teams that are fully poised for a big playoff run next year, especially. And hey, potentially 4 if the Angels somehow do something. But from that, right now, I think that right now the Rangers showed a lot of people right now that the way how you build a team can be through a number of different ways, but they all have to work. And guess what? They all work this time. They built from young players that they've been manufactured for a while. They spent on big players: Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, John Gray. Those are the 3 names apart that holy trifecta here. But right now, I think that what they've done is something that a lot of people need to be taking notes on here. You build through the draft. You build through free agency. You take chances on players. Remember when Adolis Garcia was DFA'd by multiple teams? Like, now he's one of the
including
best
the Rangers.
Including the Rangers.
Say that, including
the Rangers gave up on him.
And then they stopped giving up on him. So, like we said, never going to give you up, never going to let you down. But right now, if you want to look up more of my last views on this, especially the rest of our thoughts, especially over the last little bit of the World Series, go check us out on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel finally. It is at Losses Above Replacement on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us, leave a like, comment, follow, all that fun stuff here. As we right now have one big video, it is so far our immediate reactions after the 2023 World Series for both the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, both in long content and short form as well. But let's move on to our next one here, moving away from the World Series ever so slightly, but keeping on just a little bit. Corey Seager had one of the most incredible years by a shortstop, especially with, the fact that he was out for a decent bit of this. Guys, is Corey Seager's season the best season ever by a shortstop? And I'll go first on this one here to give you guys a little bit more time here. And my 3 words are nope, Honus Wagner. Honus has had some incredible seasons here in the early 1900s. And again, as a primary shortstop too. Like, when you're batting 350, like, I know his game is not power, and power is a lot more what we're seeing in today's game. But, I mean, you still have an OPS of well over 1,100. You have a batting average over 350. Like, come on. Like, Honus Wagner is still one of the best, in my opinion, to ever do this. Doesn't get talked about near as much as a lot of the other legends do. But you know what? Hey, I think Honus Wagner is one that is still one of the greatest, if not the greatest, to ever do it.
Okay.
So
I'm going to... Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Splash. Go ahead,
Okay.
Splash.
My 3 words are respect Derek Jeter. So I post this on Twitter, like, did Corey Seager have the greatest ever season by a shortstop? And I posted the wars of these seasons, and I posted the wars of shortstops on World Series winning teams, because I think that's like a minimum. You have to win the World Series to be in this conversation, with all due respect to Arky Vaughan and Alex Rodriguez and guys of that nature. So there's some seasons. Honus Wagner in 1909, the Pirates won the World Series. Wagner hit 350 or hit 333 in that series. 8 hits, 3 extra base hits, drove in 6, stole 6 bases. Lou Boudreau in 1948, the last time Cleveland won the World Series. Boudreau was American League MVP that season. And I think Seager is in this realm. Derek Jeter had like 3 seasons in this realm, 98, 99, and 2000. 98 and 99, he was over 7 WAR. 2000, he won World Series MVP. So Derek Jeter, man, that like the history beats that Corey Seager was doing this year. Now he's way ahead of Jeter's pace. But the history beats that Corey Seager was doing this season was very reminiscent of what Derek Jeter did with those dynastic Yankees teams. So big props to Derek Jeter. This is one of those ones that we have the overrated, underrated conversation. Derek Jeter in the playoffs, different animal. Derek Jeter when it mattered, different animal.
So I'm going to go in a bit of a different direction here because my 3 words are not quite A-Rod. I'm just going to say if we're going modern era, I respect the whole World Series argument, but I mean, you pick a year out of the hat for A-Rod from 1996 to 2003 when he was a primary shortstop with the Mariners and then the Rangers. I mean, it's just you could pick the year he hit 57 home runs, the year he had a 10.4 WAR, or the year he was a 40-40 guy, and it's just there's so many options to pick from. And I mean, yes, Seager, if he had stayed healthy, maybe he would have matched one of those numbers. I mean, maybe he would have matched one of the seasons A-Rod had. But to me, I think I'm not saying this because I'm necessarily a huge A-Rod fan, but I mean, what he was doing with the Mariners and the Rangers, yeah, he may have been taking steroids, but it was absurd what he did every single year.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that one due to my own disdain for Alex
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
no, I understand. I will say
Yeah.
he was really good the one World Series he played in, but he was no longer a shortstop. So.
Yeah, he was a third
Archie
baseman.
Vaughn's the GOAT, by the way.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to this. Sorry for that little side bet there.
Bro,
That was not
okay,
intentional. That was not
eventually,
intentional.
when I get my head out of my butthole and I make like an intro for us, it's gonna just be a compilation of me saying Archie Vaughn is the
Archie
GOAT.
Vaughn.
I
It's
do
just
think that what we need to do at some point is just have one of the video that's like 45 minutes long, and it's just every time Splash brings up Archie Vaughn.
Archie
Yes,
Vaughn.
yes.
I think
Archie
that
Vaughn fan club, and then I'll make a video every time Alex brings up
big dumper, yeah.
yes, and then every time Mac makes me talk about the Mets.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. It's just gonna be that trivia segment that it's like name the Brave that allowed the home run to the Met player. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
my goodness. Okay.
I feel like at that point that'd be a fun trivia segment to do. Would be just to say how many once that's like been done is how many times have you said Archie Vaughn on the podcast? Over
Yeah,
like
that could be like a
400.
giveaway. Like when we get to like 1,000 subscribers or something.
True, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm down with that.
How many times has Splash mentioned Archie Vaughn on the podcast?
And so far today,
This
it's
year.
been 4. So anyway,
All right, get the counter going.
yeah, let's all right. Move on to our next one here, and this is going to be one's a little bit more interesting, I feel, because of something that happened over the course of the season. Well, before the season, so Bruce Bochy again was retired and came back to coach the Rangers and just won the World Series. Now, if I've learned anything about coaching and about the Major League Baseball itself, is that they like to chase trends a lot. So, guys, I feel like this could be a trend. I think you guys do too. Who is going to be the next coach pulled out of retirement?
Oh man, I have one. And this is a guy who just retired, but I'm gonna go with probably Terry Francona. I mean, he says he's retired, but I mean, he's barely 60 if I'm not mistaken. He's still, you look at Dusty Baker was, I believe in his late 60s when the Astros pulled him out of retirement, or maybe he was in his early 70s. I don't remember, but I think Francona, if there's anyone who's going to come out of retirement, it's probably going to be him. It's just he's not very far removed from it, and I think it's weird saying he's young enough, but he is young enough to the point where he could probably pull a Bruce Bochy and come out and maybe win another ring.
So I'm gonna go here. My 3 words are don't play narrative ball. Narrative ball is one word. So come
Yes,
at
it
me.
is. I can confirm.
Yes. So I know the last 2 years, your World Series winning managers have been like on the older side with Brian Snitker, Dusty Baker, now and Bruce Bochy. But that's not to say that hiring a 6-year-old will solve all of your problems, right? Brian Snitker and Dusty Baker, for that matter, are kind of notorious chokes. Have we been on Twitter? Like, I know they've won the World Series in the last 3 years, but like interact with anyone associated with the Braves the last month, and it's just choke, 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 and they throw out the World Series. And then Dusty Baker, the legacy of failure with Dusty Baker before winning the World Series is like on par with any other legacy of failure in the history of sports. And then Bruce Bochy's in his own stratosphere over here. But don't go chasing the result here. Just go get the manager you want. Go get the manager you like. Go get the manager that you think can build a culture, a winning culture. Don't go get the 60-year-old manager that, oh, well, the last 3 have been old World Series winners. Well, it's not always going to be that, right? You need the blend of, I'm going to say analytics. I don't want to be the bad guy, but you want the blend of analytics. You want the blend of game feel. You want a blend, right? So don't go trying to emulate the Dusty Bakers and the Brian Snickers and the Bruce Bochys in every regard. You don't need to hire them. You don't need to hire Tony La Russa at Chicago White Sox.
So I'm going to pull one here that's a bit of a throwback here for Splash from the game Dominion. It's I play Baker. Baker is one a card in Dominion, obviously one of my favorite cards, but I don't think that Dusty Baker is going to be done. I think that Baker right now, like he look how good he has done with the World's, like with the Astros. And to be fair, I'm gonna bring up something that honestly probably might be a little controversial. I don't know. They brought in Dusty Baker after the whole cheating scandal here to try and repair the image, give a nice winning culture of still being, a respectable ball club. Because to be fair, Dusty Baker is one of the most respectable people in baseball. And I can see another team that's like, you know what? We need that winning culture. We need someone that can be a calm influence in the clubhouse. Someone like an Art Howe, again, from the Oakland A's here. Dusty Baker's just like that. Someone who's calm, can do exactly what he needs to do, and can handle pressure like nobody's business. This was the biggest test, one of the biggest tests for him. And guess what? He came to flying colors. He's got another World Series ring. I think if a team really needs one and needs to instill that winning culture while still having someone that is cool and calm at the helm, it's Dusty Baker. So
before we do revisionist history, Dusty Baker does have a losing playoff record outside of his Astros tenure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh no, I'm aware. I know. But I also I'm not doing revisionist history on the fact that I'm not going to sugarcoat that he's done that. But I am saying that I do think that he would be a good option.
I think there's a time and place for it. Like if you are, I can't think of any manager openings off the top of my head, but like I'm obviously not Cincinnati because David Bell did a pretty good job this year, but a Cincinnati-ish team, like a proto Cincinnati, I would be down if your goal is to get from like a 70, like AJ Hinch with the Tigers, exactly like that. Like if you're a 70-ish win team and you're trying to take the next step, I think Dusty Baker is a perfectly fine coach to do that. I don't know if he's a guy that is going to win you a World Series, but I think you get better with Dusty Baker. He doesn't.
That's how I felt with
losing
like Buck
teams.
Showalter in New York. That's how I felt.
Yes, like definitely pull you from like 75 wins to get you to the playoffs. Maybe not a World Series winning manager though.
All right, fully understandable. So, all right, that's going to do it for our 3 words only. Let us know what you guys think about our 3 words and what your 3 words would be on Twitter at LAR_baseball. But now it is time for our final segment here, as we like to end a lot of trivia with here. But this time it's going to be a little bit different. We're doing trivia here. We're still going to do moment to ourselves, but I'm going to be hosting trivia, everyone's favorite segment. And this time, the playoffs just ended, right? There was an article that was brought up here by one Sarah Lang on on ESPN here, obviously on MLB.com, talking about SR Langs. Excuse me, go follow on at Slangs on Sports, but talking about every team's postseason winning percentage. So I have some questions here for you guys here, and honestly, I'm gonna make this a little shorter than what I was intending to because we're starting to run out of time, but that's okay. So what I want you guys to do, I have the postseason winning, losing records for every team in the MLB. And I am going to flip a coin. You guys are going to be doing this a little bit differently than we normally do. So I want you guys to find the top 3 and bottom 3 in postseason winning percentage. So I have a dice here, and whoever gets the right call on the dice will get to choose if they want to do winning or losing. All right. So right now I'm going to make what evens are going to be Mac, odds are going to be Splash. So it is evens. Mac, would you like to try and take on the winning percentage? So, or the best winning percentage or the lowest winning percentage? By going first, you will also be by getting to choose, you'll also be going first. So that gives at least some advantage to your Splash as well.
I'm going to go winning percentage. So I'll go for
best winning
percentage.
Okay, cool. So I need you to give me the top 3, and we'll go from there. Each one you get correct is a point.
All right, I'm going to go in. There's no like minimum games requirement, right, or something
Correct.
like that.
Yeah, no, it's every team.
All
and one thing I will say as well, to be very clear on something, for Erico's postseason win percentage, with the wild card game counting as a series as it was its own round. Okay.
Oh, it's postseason series winning percentage or like postseason games.
I believe it's games, but
okay, games.
Wait a second.
This is a key.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a key bit here. So, let's see. Oh no, okay. I need to retract quickly because I'm like, again, I had to pull this one a little bit. Pull the cover behind. I had to kind of work this one a little bit here. Though this one is series. It is series, not games.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna go then in some order. Yankees, Cardinals, and I'll take Yankees, Cardinals, Mets. I'm just yes.
Yankees, Cardinals, Mets. Okay. I'm gonna write down how many you got correct. Because we're going to be going from, it's basically going to be like this deadlock sudden death type play.
Okay.
And whoever gets the edge first wins. So I have your score down here, Max. Splash. Now at the bottom of the list, who are the bottom 3 teams in postseason series?
Okay. Postseason series winning percentage. So my thoughts, I'm gonna go Mariners, Rockies, and Expos/Nationals.
Okay. So, with that being said, here we have a winner. As one of you got 1 point, the other got 0.
What?
The winner is Mac.
Let's go.
Why didn't you choose the Marlins?
Yeah, the Marlins were the heavy number.
Oh my god.
It's like I'm like trying to like not move so you don't see my Marlins hat. Oh my.
So the top 3 were the Marlins at a 778 percentage.
Yeah.
Far ahead behind everyone else.
Yeah.
Yankees were number 2. That was your 1 point.
Yeah.
At 640. The Red Sox were next at a 600.
I almost said the Red Sox.
The Cardinals and Mets were not too far off. The Cardinals had
Mets
a
have a winning
588 winning
positive
percentage. The Mets had a 579.
Yeah.
Splash. However, you were incorrect on all three of yours, which is something I never thought I'd ever hear. But the Cubs were the third worst at a 333 winning percentage.
Impressive.
The Twins / Senators.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah, that should have
Twins is a
been
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
surprised you didn't-
how did you not
miss.
pick the Twins?
That's
I
a
was
bad
confused
miss.
there, yeah.
That's a bad miss.
They had a 318 percentage, and then the bottom of the barrel, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh
with
wow.
a 250 winning
I was thinking it'd be like
percentage.
the Padres or something like that.
Okay.
By speaking of which,
I was thinking the Mariners have never been to the World Series, so they don't have too many wins in this regard. Then the Rockies, they've only been to the World Series once. They have a bunch of other NLDS losses. They did, I guess they did win the wild card series against Chicago.
The Mariners have just barely below 500 in playoffs.
That's because they've only played
when they do make the playoffs, they win a round.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
normally
They usually win at least one round and then go and then
lose.
From there.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Mac, good job.
I
don't know why you didn't choose Marlins, but fair enough.
And he doesn't know why you didn't choose Twins.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, all right,
it's
that's
game-winning drive time in Frankfurt.
All right, let's get ready here. It's time for our final segment as we like to end every show with the moment to ourselves, where we take just a moment of our time to talk about whatever's on our mind. It does not have to be baseball related, but it absolutely can be. Gentlemen, who would like to go first today for a moment to ourselves?
I guess I can go.
All right, sounds good. Mac, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, so I think yesterday LeBron James said that the Lakers are the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NBA, which I thought was a hilarious quote. But it got me thinking that actually I think this year's Steelers they're a lot like the Miami Marlins. Actually, you look statistically, there's no reason the Steelers should be 5-3, but it's like the Marlins this year were dead last in the league in runs scored, and they had, I think their Pythagorean win loss was like 75-87 or something, and voila, 84-78. So that's basically the vibes I'm getting watching. I was watching the Steelers game on Thursday night. They probably should not have won that game. They probably shouldn't be 5-3 right now. But sports will give you weird outcomes like that. I feel like the Steelers this year are kind of a struggle, if I'm being completely honest. Watching them is not necessarily very fun, but I guess this goes for every sport. If you'd rather be lucky than good. So I guess it's they're getting. Sometimes you do need a little bit of luck.
I will take solace in that Kansas City, Miami, Buffalo, Cincinnati, whoever the Steelers play in the first round of the playoffs, they will mollywop the Steelers unless it's Baltimore, and then Baltimore's going to lose in some historically horrible fashion. I'm going to
11-10 again. Something.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that. But I'd be happy to go next.
All right, sounds good. Splash, your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
So I was thinking about this yesterday, and you can really tell when you're interacting with someone if they think they're a winner or if they think they're a loser, or if they seem to have done something in their life that they're proud of. Because there's some people that you interact with, and it's just like everything's down, everything's gloomy, there's nothing positive. And listen, I'm very much a Debbie Downer at times, and I say every other podcast I want to off myself. But there are things that make me happy in the universe. So if you find yourself more on the sad side of things, I understand it's okay to feel that way. Absolutely. But remember, there are positive things out there. There is always a chance to get better, be better, think better things. So I'm not saying invalidate your feelings. Absolutely not. Feel that way if you may. But there are some positive things there's sports, there's hobbies you can do, there's people to talk to. So there's no need to be down and out about every little thing in life. It's a blessing, right? It's a positive thing. So think about some positive things. Think about times you've won, think about times you can win. So there you go.
I appreciate it. That's a solid message. I actually resonate with that a lot.
I agree.
Yeah, that's solid. All right, I've got my time. So I'll start mine in 3, 2, 1, begin. So yesterday, I picked up MLB The Show for the first time in literal months. And the reason why is because, you know what, I saw they had all the new season 5 stuff, a lot of the cool Team Affinity stuff. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a try. Why not? Let's have some fun. So Mac and I actually got on, and you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit he beat me. Mac, you did good job. Good job, man. But 2 perfect games in a row. But anyway, so as we keep going here, I had a lot of fun. And to be fair, the game, like, don't get me wrong, I saw a lot of problems with MLB The Show. But it was fun just to get to play it again, grinding through some conquest, playing through the showdowns, and selling extra things out of my binder was fun. And like right now, I've played for a good bit last night, and I end up completing the Live Series collection and still have 200K in my account. So that's fun. Am I going to be playing it more long term? Probably not. But I'm having a little bit of fun playing it while I can. But that's going to do it here for the moment to ourselves here. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. That's the end of our podcast today. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter at LAR_baseball. We're going to be posting a lot of fun baseball stuff. And now that we're into YouTube, go and subscribe to us on YouTube at Losses Above Replacements. On YouTube, it is a fun time over there. We're going to be posting a lot of fun videos coming up pretty soon. A lot of shorts. We're trying to be posting some more stuff, clips from the podcast and other stuff like that, other individual stuff. But also make sure you go follow all of us individually on Twitter. You can go follow me at SportsGuy242. Go follow Splash at Mr. Splashman19. Follow it up, then go follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. But from all of us here at Losses Above Replacement, we want to thank you all for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon. Thank you.